right? What happened? Hey, good morning. Thanks everyone for joining. We'll give everybody a few minutes to join and we'll get started. Thank you. Hey everyone. Thanks for joining again. My name is Mangesh. We're just waiting for, we're going to wait for maybe a minute more, Peyton, and I think we can get started, right? I see some folks have joined already, and we don't want to waste anybody's time, so maybe a minute more, okay? Okay, let's get started, Peyton.
Okay, thank you all for coming to this Lunch and Learn. I'm Peyton, I'm with the marketing and communications. And then this is Mangesh from Data Ninja. I'm also from Data Ninjas. This is Mangesh from Data Ninjas. He's the CTO. We also have Rob here. He's the VP of Sales from Data Ninjas. And we have Sabrina from IBM. And I'll hand it back over to Mangesh.
Okay, great. Thank you, Peyton. First of all, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. We understand how busy you all might be. So I will definitely make it my mission to make this worth your time today. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen, and Peyton, and feel free to your team, feel free to use your chat uh, method essentially, or the Q&A method, if you want to post some questions, and so on and so forth. Peyton, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So let's get started. Today's topic, obviously, we're going to cover how to unlock exceptional customer service with intelligent automation, right? And a large part of this is going to be AI. What I intend to do is I do have a few slides that will set the context, and then I do have some demos for you all as well, right? So let's jump right into it. Today I think at least in my opinion, customer care is at a breaking point, right? Customer expectations keep rising, and I just have some statistics that I have collected from various different sources. Obviously you can see those. It's very hard for me to find anybody that says that customer expectations are not rising, right? Almost 90% of customers say that an immediate response is very important, and I can believe that, right? 15, 20 years back, this used to be a very simplistic world. We used to call to get some customer support. At the most we had 1-800 numbers. We would call them, and then we would enter one for something, two for something. Most of us, I think, learned how to enter zero during that time. But today, I think it's very important that customers get immediate response that is relevant, right? Um, and a lot of them expect personalized service in real time as well, right? It's not just here is FAQ. There are 150 questions in the FAQ. You go read it. We really can't expect customers to do that today, right? Um, the second thing that has happened is obviously there's always pressure to do more with less, right? Um, Teams, especially in the customer care world, they are 100%, in my opinion, overloaded, right? Uh, and it's a difficult work, right? You have to have that sort of mental, not just capacity, but the tenacity to make sure that you are supporting customers. And a lot of it is mundane, type of tasks, but customer is customer, right? We got to help them. Um, and the other thing that that is definitely happening is there is operational pressure. So budgets go down. We can't find the right talent. Let's say we added, let's say a company acquires another organization, all of a sudden their customer base increases manyfold. People struggle essentially to scale. So most organizations, I feel like, they're going through this, right? This situation. Um, I think customers really want it all. They want instant answers. They want 24/7 availability. Uh, they want real understanding. They don't want robotic replies, right? They don't want really FAQs, and they don't want to browse through those FAQs either, right? Um, and they also want consistency in terms of their experiences, whether they go to a website, whether they call a organization or a team, right? They want to make sure that the brand value is consistent across all channels, right? And these traditional support models have been failing for a long time, but now we do have really good alternatives, right? And that is through AI. Mm. And personally, my view on this is AI is it's not here just to automate, right? I think there are certain tasks that AI will definitely automate for us. But I think that the real purpose, the real use cases that we want to use AI for is, we want to enhance the way we deliver value to customers, right? Just, conversation alone, conversational AI alone, can add several degrees of freedom and ease when it comes to customer service. And we have seen this, with our customers, right? Some of our customers, as we started building, last week we had a conversation with one of our prospects, right? It's equipment, original equipment manufacturer. Um, Obviously, they are trying to grow, and they have 6 or 7 different products. Most of these products are centered around farm equipment or garden equipment, right? So, fairly straightforward. Obviously, they want to invest more time in making sure that their products are better, that they increase the product reach, and so on and so forth. And uh, today, they end up spending a lot of time, manually answering phone calls, and they could be for anything, right? They could be for a simple thing like, hey, I don't know where to buy, I like your product, I don't know where to buy it, right? Where can I find a dealer? Or I bought one of your products and there is an issue with it, or I bought one of your products and the documentation that came with it is a little bit confusing, I have some questions, can you help me answer those questions, right? So again, so having AI have the capability of conversation, having the agent assist, right? Making sure that AI is AI suggests replies, make sure AI suggests some surface knowledge, right? Speeds up the handling time. We also want to understand as we start building these interactions, we want to understand some you know the tone and the urgency that the customers are sharing with us, right? And more importantly, we want to understand, how we can use AI to do some smart routing, right? We also want, some predictive, proactive support, right? So understand the behavior. And again, as the use cases mature, as the use of the technology matures, as the use of the AI matures, right? We can definitely see this improving quite a bit. And we have seen this in cases of at least a couple of our customers where, simple tasks like, you know, invoice processing, for example, right? This organization gets tons and tons of invoices. Somebody has to manually open up all of the PDF files, assuming that they're all PDF files. Sometimes they could be Excel, and sometimes they could be Word documents, and so on and so forth. But somebody has to actually open it and make sure that there is a PO, because if there is no PO, the policy is that particular invoice cannot be paid. That simple task alone can just take tremendous amount of time, right? So it's very very important to have this distinction, right? I always like to say that AI is here for augmentation, not replacement of humans, right? I don't think AI is, quite mature enough that it has started. You'll hear this a lot in the marketplace. Our AI can do this, our agent can do that. Yeah, our AI can do this, our agent can do that. But it's again, once you start peeling the onion, so to speak, you will invariably find that there are limitations. At least right now, I don't think that those limitations would be here 3 years, maybe 5 years down the line. But today it's not mature enough, right? So we don't want to eliminate any jobs. We just want to make the process more human, and we want to help the humans in the loop by removing the repetitive and surfacing the relational, basically, right? We really want to talk with customers. We really want to have that customer interactions. We still want to make them feel valued. We still want to make them feel, part of the team, so to speak. Um, we just can't do it 24 by 7 as humans, right? And so that's where AI comes into play. So really, with these new tools and technologies, especially what IBM has done in the last, I want to say, 3 years, maybe 5 years. IBM tools and technology has made progress by leaps and bounds, right? And we see that every day with our customers and our prospects. I cannot emphasize how many of these, simple, repetitive type of tasks I have come across that are exactly almost identical, right? It's they're like 90 to 95% identical, and these are real struggles, and everybody is looking to get some answers and some tools, and so hoping today will be valuable information share. So again, I appreciate everybody joining, right? So again, AI, ChatGPT has been around. I'm sure everybody has used ChatGPT, interacted with it. If not ChatGPT, Gemini, or some of the other models. But how do we use these things, large language models, in business context, right? Because there are a lot of risks when it comes to utilizing large language models, or in general other AI models, in a business context, right? But I think overall, the adoption, I think, businesses are a lot more familiar with AI today. As you can see, 2016, only about 58% said they were familiar. That has grown to 83% as of 2023. I am pretty sure that number has gone up significantly since then. I want to say about 90%, executives are very familiar with AI these days, right? Because almost everybody is trying to figure out, um, uh, how do I use AI to my benefit, right? How do I make it my competitive advantage? And today we'll obviously see some, m- examples of a fully baked, assistant, and how that assistant can help this fictitious company, right? So we'll get to that demo here in a few minutes. But I think some of the critical elements of utilizing AI for businesses is that it has to be trustworthy, right? What I mean by that is AI that is explainable. We have to have a ability to say, these are the inputs that I provided to the large language model or an AI model, and this is the output, and I like the output. I understand the output, right? And it's very important to have the explainability, especially in a business context. Why? Because if we cannot explain the behavior, then we cannot explain how the large language or AI models will work, and that is directly associated with the risk to the business, right? So we also want the AI models to be fair. We also want the AI models to be robust. And I think the key word here in this particular is the private, right? Because you don't want to feed enterprise information, business critical information, something that you may deem private, to a public large language model. And the reason for that is very simple. Once you feed some data to it, it becomes part of the model. It has learned from the data, right? So it's very important that we have private, transparent, and explainable large language or AI models. They govern the guardrails. Obviously, we can get into the details of these some more, but I think that's a topic for another webinar, which we are planning, by the way. So look for some additional information about how to govern, AI, what to do about it, how you can do this. And again, IBM and Data Ninjas have the right solutions in place for you all, that can definitely be used towards the governance and the guardrails, so to speak. But regardless, let's say we have some trustworthy AI in place. The second critical element is that we want these models to be fine-tuned, right? We want them to understand our context, our business context. We want them to understand our business data. We want them to understand our specific business needs, right? Because without that, they can't create values. We're not asking a large language model questions like, hey, what's the weather like today? How can I get from, Colorado to Utah, um, by avoiding highways, essentially, right? We're not going to ask those type of questions. This is a business context, so we want to make sure that the business context is fully baked, and that the models are fine tuned. And that could be, the models could require additional training. The models would require tuning as well, right? And last but not least, we want to understand the business processes, right? So we want the ability to infuse AI into existing business processes. And that's very important, I think, right? So I'm going to switch to the demo mode here real quick. So again, this is a publicly available demo. What IBM has done essentially is they have built this demo for a fictitious bank called Lender. And obviously you can browse this. This particular demo is available to public. But essentially, you can see, right, this particular company or organization obviously provides student loans, personal loans, home loans, credit cards, and so on and so forth, right? There is a calculator interface, specifically for these products, right? And again, this is basic understanding, right? Again, think about how customers of this bank would interact with them. They may want to apply for a student loan. They may want to apply for a personal loan. They may want to apply for a home loan. They may want to, do servicing with the loans. They may want to pay off their credit cards and so on and so forth. So again, several different ways that the products get in the hands of the customers, right? And as soon as the products get in the hand of the customers will need support. And so that's what this whole process is all about, right? So let me go back to the slides. I do want to go back and forth. I'll keep doing this just so that we add a little bit more context here, right? So how can AI help us? I talked about AI being, fair, AI being responsible, AI being scalable, AI being explainable. How does that happen, right? I mean, what do we do with it, essentially? So, in my opinion, you start off with some foundational models and some large language models, right? Both of these can be used to generate, the generative AI obviously will help us create human-like content, right? Specifically for customer care, the conversational AI, understanding what humans are writing or speaking, assuming that you have this multi-channel, deployment of AI essentially and assistants, then we want the AI to have the ability to converse, and that requires, human-like content, right? Whether it is words, whether it is words, that are spoken, whether it is words that are written, it doesn't matter, right? But it's a conversational AI. So that's a big part of customer care. Other use cases obviously are digital labor, and you can use robotic process automation. Again, you can leverage several of the same technologies under the hood, so to speak. The use cases may differ, but generally the usage pattern for the underlying tools and technologies will remain the same. Okay. Uh, let's switch to the next, add a little bit more to it, right? So what do we have? What products does IBM have? And how can Data Ninja as an IBM help you all with this, right? So obviously having the foundational models, whether with transformer architecture or large language models, great, we can definitely help you tune, take the existing foundational models or start with brand new foundation models. Make sure that these, models are tuned, tailored for specific business domains and use cases, right? And then use finally Gen AI to employ the foundational model or fine tune depending on the application, right? So, the lender application or the demo that we just saw, it's an assistant. That assistant is going to do several different things, and we may end up utilizing one or more or many fine-tuned models for those purposes, right? So we have, IBM offers IBM Watson X Assistant, and the user interface is what we saw. We also saw Watson Discovery a little bit, and I'll talk about Watson Discovery a little bit. There are other for digital labor, there are other products like Watson Architect, Orchestrate, Cloud Pak for integration, and so on and so forth. And obviously for IT operations, there's more, right, as you go along, right? But all of these products essentially allow you to look at, a use case and say, I want to use AI for that use case. And these products enable you to use AI for these use cases, right? So again, lots more to talk about and go through, but essentially, again, this is a little bit of a chest thumping. I personally love the Watson X Assistant product, the Discovery product, WatsonX.ai, especially for a business context, right? And the reason for that is, that again, a lot of people are trying to utilize GPTs or Chat GPTs, autopilot and Copilot and so on and so forth. So again, very diverse. What IBM has done is, it really brings uh, 200% value to enterprises who are trying to deploy AI in a responsible, fair, and scalable way, right? So very important that you consider those differences as you go along, right? So let's look at what can we do with IBM, specifically the assistant. So I'm going to switch back to the demo again. Uh, let me open this up, right? Um, as you can see, there are few things you will see immediately, you will notice, right? There is get to know the organization. That's more of the about us. But this doesn't have to be a static page on your website anymore. This can be more of a guided conversation, so to speak. This pay credit card balance is literally a business process, right? The business process will allow you to serve the customers, right? So let's start with the basic stuff, right? I want to find the nearest branch. Let's do that. So this, I have already shared the location, so it quickly picked it. Typically, it would ask you to share your location, and again, you all can go through this demo on your own, right? No issues. But this will, immediately it found the location. It, shared this branch. Here are all of the different branches and so on and so forth. Obviously, it comes with some disclaimers. IBM is not a bank, right? No real locations, but and we have done this for some of our customers already, like this basic, right? Taking your basic information that is on the website and making it available in a conversational channel for the customers. So we've already done that. Let's go back. We can look at this part, and this will tell you, again, this is a great example of how you can introduce the organization, how you can introduce a business process. You can easily share, these videos that are embedded within the chat interface as well. Um, you know, uh, you can ask, you can set the stage, you can set the tone, you can set the context a little bit, and then say, let's see what happens. This is totally unscripted. Tell me. So again, it doesn't know this question. So this is kind of the responsible thing, right? One of the key things, I keep getting this question asked again and again, right? How do you prevent the AI from hallucinating? And there are different ways to do that. Obviously, as I mentioned, when you're using large language models or these foundation models, and you're tuning them, you're training them on your own data, you can certainly do that. You can, the RAG is another method of, um, asking that. You can look at the the context and make sure that the context is very important for the prompt. And if you don't understand the context, or if you feel that that context is outside of what the business process deems, right, then you know, basically don't give that prompt to the large language model. So again, different ways of, you know, looking at it. Um, if it doesn't have that information, you know, it'll say, you know, I just don't have that information. So you can make it more strict, so to speak, right? You cannot make it just free fall. And you know, you might have seen this behavior with ChatGPT. It's very common. You know, it will act confident. It'll be super confident whether it's actually real or not. You know, the output is real or not. So it happens more often than not, right? So so let's ask a more relevant question. Uh, I'm gonna do this real quick. The other part that I kind of wanted to demo was, let me say something vague, right? Okay, so loan application, it did, you know, find something specific now, right? It found the context. Now it said, oh, you know, you said loan application. I can help with the, you know, following tasks, right? Either auto loan or a home loan, or, you know, modify in progress application, or none of the above. So let me change that, right? I'm gonna say none of the above. So if it's none of the above, then what is it that you're looking for, right? So let me reply in a human-like way. Typically, this is how humans would reply, right? So now this actually, you know, this question actually, the large language models and the whole, you know, application, so to speak, understood this, right? It understood that I'm thinking about applying for a student loan. Now it's telling me that tuition and other expenses can be high, da, 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 right? So, you know, we have this. Are you interested in applying for a student loan? I can email you more information, and you know, start with specific states, right? So let's see. We'll you know, again, so these are, you know, yes, I said which of these describes the type of program. So now we are already in the business process at this point, right? We are you know, the assistant is already interacting with the customer, and these are not simple tasks, right? They, you know, starting an application, you know, at least 4 or 5 years back, you know, it was all, you know, I'm going to send you a PDF and you fill out that information. Maybe 10 years back, right? In the last 5 years, most of them, you know, application processes have been automated. But again, there are some, you know, organizations that, you know, do not have that kind of capability. What IBM Watson X Assistant does is, you know, it's very easy. You can integrate this with a traditional WordPress type of you know, website, and just, you know, run with it, right? Very easy to do. Very easy to do coding as well, right? Because there's no coding involved for most of this. The model tuning, the model training, you know, that obviously requires a higher degree of expertise. But building these basic assistants that, you know, take out the mundane tasks, informational, you know, delivery type of tasks, very, very easy, right? So let's continue. Let's do undergraduate. I want to pick Maryland, right? So are you a student or a parent interested in applying a student loan? Again, you know, very nice guided conversation, you know. Uh, so obviously, because I'm an authenticated user, it said, great, we have pre-qualified, da, 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 thanks for trusting, and then that's it, right? So we just went through this entire, you know, flow, which would have been, you know, again, we can have a human in the loop for sure, right? We can always have the assistant collect all of this information. We can always have the assistant do some basic tasks. And if your organization so decides that, you know, the final check, the final, you know, confirmation has to be with a particular agent on your side, then, you know, we can certainly do that. Another, you know, very important best practice that I always tell, you know, prospects and customers alike is always have this, you know, suggestions portion, right? And always have the ability for an end user to connect to an agent. um, right? So again, you can always start with the basic things. You can add people are also interested in ABC XYZ. Obviously, this is just a demo, but I can always make this as expandable as I can, right? As I need it to be. And so a lot of different ways of looking at it, right? So let me go back and let me ask another typical question, right? Um, Now I'm switching the context a little bit. So this is undergraduate or graduate. So again, it found that information, right? And it calculated for undergraduate students the maximum combined and so on and so forth and so now let me switch gears. Now I'm switching context altogether on it, right? Again, because it's one of the products, it understood it, right? And it gave me contextual address. Again, it didn't really understand what payday loan is because we told it to, because that's what the large language models and the integration is set up in a way that if it comes to this, don't show it, right? And that's what the overall system did. But it did give additional context, right? It's saying, look, give me here are other things you can do, basically, right? Um, so let's say, applying for a home loan, right? Again, it's easy, calculating. So let me add a little bit more questions here, right? I'm gonna say, so what is your loan amount, right? So I'm gonna say, I don't know, 250,000. Uh-huh. So now basically it took me to the mortgage calculator that I have pre-built on the website, right? It added, and this is happening live, right? It knows kind of my credit score. It knows my, loan amount that I just entered. Let me say 20 years. Here it is, right? And it's happening, in conjunction with the chat assistant, which is, very powerful, right? So I I don't have to, this is, very demonstrative. This is very useful because you don't want to abandon assets that you may have already built on the website or on any of the other channels, right? You want to reuse them, and this integration, this sort of integration, having the capability of integrating makes it very, very powerful, right? So I'm going to switch back to the decks a little bit, right? So what are some of the components that we saw, right? Is ChatGPT ready? I kind of have touched on this a little bit already, right? Um, very powerful. ChatGPT is very powerful. The code is probably 2 years old right now, but at least in my humble opinion, ChatGPT has grown leaps and bounds, right? For basic, simple tasks, like let's come up with let's summarize a particular document, or let's do, write something about, 300 words about something, right? I mean, most of the time I see that a lot of kids, in high school and, and grade school as well, utilizing ChatGPT to cheat, basically, right? There is absolutely no validation whether those, the claims that ChatGPT makes are real or not, and you can try that. You can ask it, is this for real? Can you give me some citations, right? And so on and so forth. And very quickly you will find the limitations. It looks very good. It is very, very powerful in terms of understanding human conversational languages, right? and responding in those conversational languages. So that's probably for me, that's that was the biggest takeaway. But I think it's very important, like I said, it's very important to look at enterprise AI. We have to ensure the business context. We have to have the details and clarification. We have to have the hyper personalization. We have to be able to use those for cross departmental use cases, right? How many times have each one of us called a customer, start with a speech-enabled IVR, right? Um, Half the time it doesn't recognize the speech inputs, but let's say it does understand something. Or, you end up reaching a particular uh, agent only to find out that you have reached the wrong agent or the wrong department. And then it's another 5 minutes of very nice elevator music. You wait, and then you have to start anew with all of the information that you had shared with the previous agent who was not able to help you at all, right? And so that's it's kind of it's important to have that hyper personalization. It's important to have that cross departmental use cases. And then obviously accuracy and ethical AI is again very important as well, right? uh, Ethical AI, because you are interacting, especially in the financial world, in highly regulated world. You cannot really introduce bias or biases towards certain customers, right, or certain customer segments. So again, it's very important to have that piece. Um, let's switch to the next one, right? So again, this is more of the spiel from IBM. Obviously, IBM is a leader, has always been a leader. There's a saying, and I've been working with IBM. Data Ninjas have been working with IBM tools and technologies for a number of years. There's a saying, right? Nobody ever gets fired for you using IBM, and that's true today as well, right? So some of the components that we saw, right, in action, even though we didn't see all of those, right, in action, is behind the scenes. Obviously, that particular demo was built using all of these different components, right? So watsonx.ai is a key component. watsonx.data was also used in instances where we had to actually go get data from behind the scenes. We didn't see that, but it authenticated me, and then it found out basic data about me, including my credit score and so on and so forth. All of that integration has to happen, right? And it has to happen at the speed of thought, speed of conversation, so to speak. So these two particular tools were definitely used. What's the next dot governance? Like I said, that's another important aspect for enterprises, and the tool brings several very very strong credentials or features to the table that allow you to govern this more robustly, right? But obviously, watsonx.ai is where all the models that were used were trained, validated, and tuned essentially. Um, so again, leveraging the foundational models and generative AI, we can definitely help organizations start small, start with bite-sized chunks, right? Make sure that the tasks are simple, the repetitive tasks are taken away from humans. Basic authentication and so on and so forth is in place, and get started, right? And we saw a lot of Watson Assistant, right? And again, this is kind of built for purpose platform specifically for conversational AI, right? And it will, I can guarantee that it will help you deliver exceptional customer care across all entry points, right? So again, it's very important to have the channels, identified very clearly. And this uh, farm and garden equipment manufacturer company that I talked about, they don't have all of those channels established right now. They do have the desire to establish those channels very quickly. Right now, all they're doing is phone calls. And when I showed them, how easy it would be to integrate the assistant with their website, they were like floored. They're like, give us a code tomorrow, and we I think we can do this, and we'd like to get started, right? So again, there is a lot of opportunity here uh, to ease those repetitive tasks into these assistants, mature these assistants over a period of time. But again, where do we use conversational AI or AI in general? We definitely want to use routing, right? We want to make some routing decision. um, we also want to make some orchestration decisions as we go along, right? And once those things are there, we also want to monitor this entire application or subsystem. So again, the smart routing decisions, insights, and orchestration, all three, we do want to use AI in some shape or form. It could be one model, it could be several different models. And then obviously, as we get, as we process the input and process the output back, but in order to process the output, we have to have some resolution methods, right? Um, which is, natural language processing and languages, and again, very powerful when you if you want to showcase a multilingual assistant, right? There could be instances where a multilingual assistant is required, almost necessary. And this happens to us all the time, right? Press one for English, press two for Spanish, right? And it happens to all of us. And that will continue, right? And the tools and technologies that IBM have built are exceptionally adept at delivering that experience, right? Especially around natural languages and so on and so forth. The discovery and AI search is important as well as a component. Why? Because as we saw on the demo, right? There is an FAQ. Let me actually switch back to the demo real quick, and let's go to the FAQ portions, right? So again, frequently asked questions. There is a search button here, and it'll find it'll search it through your, uh, you know, domain knowledge that you have already built, and the domain knowledge that is used by the agents that are providing the customer service, right? So um, that's again, very important. That also is totally covered with IBM products, right? Uh, the great advantage of all of these is, IBM will not stop you from bringing your own large language model if you so desire, right? If you say, yes, I want to work with DeepSeek, then okay, no problem. That can be hosted in watsonx.ai, right? As a private instance. And that makes it very powerful. Same thing with ChatGPT, GPT-3, GPT-4, and so on and so forth. In addition to that, having the ability to search your existing knowledge base is a huge advantage. And then at the end of the day, right, sending it to a human agent is always required. You can't get away from it. But that's kind of what it is. The Watson X Assistant allows you to do all of this in a seamless fashion, right? And obviously the integrations have to be there, right? I want to go connect with Box or Zendesk, or I want to connect with, contact center tools like Salesforce or, Niche or any of these, all of those integrations are pre-built, almost readily available. And, if you need to integrate with something, it's, always there. Anything that has an API, you can, really integrate with it, no problems, right? So very, again, very, very powerful as we go along. So um, I'm going to pause here for a minute, and I want to open up. Peyton, how are we doing on time?
We have about 15 minutes left.
15 minutes left. Okay. I would like to open this up to, any questions that, that you may have. Let's open it up to those questions. Feel free to, type in the question. Okay. I see one question here. Peyton, do you want to read out the question?
Yes, it says, how can I secure my assistant or agent?
That's a great question. I think, the it's very important to have the protocols completely set up. In fact, I'm going to show you all a little bit behind the scenes as well, right? So give me a second. Um, and I'll bring up the kind of the development studio, so to speak, for the assistant. Okay. Bear with me for a second. But yeah, so I think all of the communication can be encrypted end to end. All of the um, uh, all of the communications between the applications can be encrypted end to end. All of the uh, data that is shared between these two or multiple systems can be encrypted end to end, no problems, right? So again, it's very powerful. IBM is, like I said, all of these systems are built for enterprises, not just um, experimental or retail type of use, right? So any other questions you see, Peyton?
Someone said, how quickly can I deploy an agent or assistant?
Again, great question. Like I said, agent assistant. So I'm going to bring up, behind the scene how a particular agent can or assistant can be developed, right? So let me share my screen again. Okay. So typically what you would want to do, yeah, again, one of these customer care bots, this was built as a demo for, one of our prospects that we had spoken with. But essentially, typically, this is how you would start, right? It's almost like, from an organizational perspective, you have to say, what are the actions that you want to provide? The actions are directly related to the business processes, right? You always want to have a fallback plan, and you can easily set that up with watsonx Assistant. You obviously need a live agent, right? So you can set that up with a real live agent. You can publish those, an AI assistant, which and watsonx Assistant allows you to have two separate environments, one development, one live, where the bot is active, actually integrated with a website and so on and so forth. Obviously, you want the ability to check the analytics. You want the ability to customize the greetings, set up search, and so on and so forth, right? And set up a channel. So again, this is, it watsonx Assistant kind of walks you through step by step what you want to do, how you should do it, almost in a guided fashion. So very easy to do. Um, Coding wise, again, you don't have to code anything, like I mentioned. So let's look at some of the assistant standard, right? Set up by assistant actions. So if I visualize this, you will see that this is kind of the customer starts with, I want to pay my credit card bill or whatever, and then here is, welcome to Data Ninja's equipment. How can I assist you? And on it goes, right? The assistant says something, the end user says something, there is search involved, there is AI involved, and so on and so forth. So you can again, you can go to a completely different business process altogether. You can control which AI model you use, and so on and so forth, right? So all of this, for a basic use case can be done in a matter of 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at the most, right? And it's pretty easy to go from there and deploy it. Like I said, it's very easy to deploy it to WordPress sites and so on and so forth. Custom sites will require a little bit more, integration. But let me see if I can show you environments. Right, so we can look at the live environment and you can see the web chat. Okay. And here is the embed code, right? Literally, I can just copy paste this and uh, a real assistant is up and running essentially. So that doesn't really give standard almost robotic responses. So okay. Any other questions, Peyton?
How can you prevent LLMs from hallucinating?
Yeah, I talked about this a little bit early on, right? So, so there are two ways to look at it. Obviously, when you build these, flows, workflows, essentially, right? And you're training the data, training the large language model on your data. Um, there are certain guidances that you can provide during that training, right? Obviously, we don't want, so use a pre-training, right? And use the fine tuning. So that way, you don't let the large language model hallucinate. Like I said, you have to provide some context and you can control what context goes into the actual prompt, right? So there's a little bit of a, prompt engineering. And just to, add to that a couple of, technical terms, which is, minimum tokens, maximum tokens, use some conservative, values because every model will require that. You can look at top P, top K parameters as you go along, right? This is, more geared towards how to use the model, where to use it, that sort of stuff. But again, just using the RAG approach will help alleviate some of that. And then you have to instruct the model as well, right? Depending on the high probability or low probability answer, you can say, hey, if the answer is not in the in your knowledge base or in the search, then say I don't know, right? And you can do that, right? That's one way to do it, essentially. Um, Anything else, Peyton? Any other
Will
question?
this meeting be recorded for further use?
Yes, this is being recorded. Webinar is being recorded, and we'll share the link of the recording with you all. Okay. So I think that's about it. Great. I really appreciate it. Everybody's time. I think one thing that I would like to add is, our team will follow up with you regarding the lunch voucher in a one-on-one setting. That way, we want to make sure that, yesterday's instance had several, folks who joined without really giving any, names or information. So it was very difficult for us to follow up with everybody. So what we have decided is we'll follow up with you in a one-on-one setting and ensure that the lunch voucher is delivered to you appropriately in the next day or two. Okay. Peyton, back to you.
Thank you all for coming to this webinar. This is our second one. We're very excited to be starting these. And we'd love to have you at our next ones, which are in 3 or 4 months. Thank you for coming.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.